Don't stop me now, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Football Therapy with me, your host, Jan. Disclaimer, early doors. I am navigating, I'm ashamed to admit, I'm navigating what can only be described as a biblical hangover. But I've had a coffee, some painkillers, some carbs, and I'm here to report for Chelsea news here in the Stamford Bridge studio. Of course, the only and maybe not the only, the best place to hear your Chelsea news, hopefully, if you enjoy the content, is with me, dear sweet friend. And you are, of course, welcome to my channel. Thank you for dropping a like, and you're welcome to subscribe as well. There's lots to talk about today, so without further ado, let's get into it. Hokey cokey, my friends. We are going to talk about Kai Havertz maybe going to Bayern Munich. How do we feel about that? Financial loss? Almost certainly. Romelu Lukaku vibes. A very talented player that I think the majority of us like, but maybe, just maybe, it's the right thing. Chelsea are looking at a midfielder, which is what we've wanted. I uploaded a video on it a couple of days ago about how this is, a really important thing. Of course, we have signed Noni Madueke, who's doing his medical today in London, another winger. I uploaded yesterday a video on this. If you haven't seen that, I urge you to go and watch it, talking about buying an entirely new front three in the January transfer window. And this is, of course, not counting Christopher Nkunku, who is to arrive in the summer. It's popping off. I was saying you could have Mudryk playing as a left winger, devastating pace in behind Noni Madueke, if he is indeed to be utilised quite soon in the first team, to play as a dribbling right winger, cutting in on that boot and taking people on. And the glue, the Galactico glue, which is João Felix, playing a false nine role. Hey, this is just me playing FIFA in my brain, dear sweet friends. We are going to reference an article from the Czar Kinsella talking about the midfield situation. I did urge you guys to go check out the Swiss Ramble article explaining how Chelsea are currently in compliance with financial fair play. I know, few, right? But we keep going. Also, the story's saying that it could be a loan. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, I thought players could only have two loanees in. And we have two. We have the injured Denis Zakaria, and we have the suspended João Felix. Riddle me that, boys and girls. Maybe I'm wrong. But also, I want to start quickly before we get into those stories about Havertz and midfielders. Blah, blah, blah. I want to talk about goalkeepers. Now, this is interesting because I ran a poll on Twitter, and I'm about to show you the results about what we should do with the goalkeeping situation. We have not a legend, but a sort of cult hero in Edouard Mendy, the Senegalese goalkeeper who's in his 30s now, was one FIFA best goalkeeper, was inspired on our Champions League run to seal our second European Cup. Folklore stuff, not legend, but cult hero, certainly. And then we've got Kepa, seemingly the current first choice. But are either the right choice? Well, let's take a look at this. Ding! Goalkeeping future. I gave options. 7,600 voted. I should have retweeted. I would have got over 10k easy. But it's still an interesting sample size. As you can see, the voting is dominated by keep Kepa, sell Mendy, and sell both and reset. So pour one out for Mendy's Chelsea future, because seemingly, the keep Mendy 10% did that, or keep both only 10% did that. So really the majority, goes with maybe keeping Kepa, but a lot of people also just happy to reset, which I found quite interesting. Chelsea are and have been looking at new goalkeepers. I don't think it's a priority, because I think Graham Potter for the moment can, he's happy to navigate with Kepa Arrizabalaga, but I think he might be under the microscope a little bit, because we know he can fall into these dips in form. And Mendy just also can fall into dips in form, but ultimately doesn't look like the right profile for Graham Potter's football. Of course, he brought in his goalkeeping coach from Brighton, who made Sanchez very good at Brighton, and he's a well-respected goalkeeping coach. So maybe he's come in and been like, yeah, we need to do something else here. be very interested in hearing what you guys have to say about the goalkeeper, so please do express your thoughts, feelings, emotions, and musings down in the comment section below on goalkeepers. Right, so we'll talk about the midfielder in just a second from Naz's article. But let's jump over to Caught Offside. Talk about Kai Havertz, because he is scoring the odd goal. He is trying hard. He does try hard. He is talented, undisputed. And when I talk about, cult hero, he won Chelsea, the Champions League. So he is that. And he's really highly rated in Germany, and he plays really well for the German national team and starts for them, of course. And he's like 23 years old or something. Do you know what I mean? Like 23, 24, like sort of yet to enter his prime. He came out recently in an interview after he scored that winner at Palace and was like, look, guys, I'm not a centre forward to score 30 goals. This is just not what I do. He didn't go on and elaborate, but what he is this particularly like second striker, floaty attacker player. He's happy to do a job for Chelsea and be a professional. Good. But maybe he just isn't the guy we need. So Caught Offside, an article by a guy called Matthew Smith, writes this. Bayern Munich are interested in signing Chelsea forward Kai Havertz, who could become surplus to requirements. And I guess if you'd watched my previous upload with that new attack, there's someone missing. And of course, we are expecting the new boy, the new guy, Bundesliga guy to come, and Nkunku, I need to say it right, in the summer. Havertz has been involved in some special Chelsea moments in the show, including scoring the winner against Manchester City in the Champions League final, and we will never get bored of saying that. However, most Chelsea fans would admit its time hasn't been as impressive as they would have expected when he signed for Bayer Leverkusen. It's true, I didn't expect Eden Hazard in terms of his play style, but it was similar in terms of we didn't necessarily need Kai Havertz, but it was like this amazing opportunity of a player Real Madrid wanted, Bayern Munich wanted, and he was just looked so graceful and talented on the pitch. And he's still that guy. This is the tough thing, but like this purchase, Eden Hazard worked out because he's a phenom. Do you know what I mean? And it just works because he can do what he wants on the pitch, and it works. Kai Havertz still needs to be in a team that works for him. And his signing was just like the quintessential Roman Abramovich era signing vibes. That player is really good. He's going to be really good. I love him. Buy him for Chelsea. And this is why the new dawn at Stamford Bridge is important, because it's, does he fit the analysis and the data model? Probably not. This kid, Noni Madueke, who, is not setting the world alight. He plays for in the Dutch league, and it's not like he's scoring loads of goals or anything, but they looked at him and what he can do, and they were like, that's going to work. Or hopefully, touch wood. So that's kind of what Kai Havertz represents in terms of, his acquisition. So according to reports relayed by FCB Inside, Bayern Munich are one of the clubs looking at Havertz. Bayern don't have a long-term option up top since losing Robert Lewandowski, so Havertz could be brought in to be the main man in attack. It will be interesting to see whether his home country is something that appeals to Havertz, considering the performances he's produced when plying his trade in the Bundesliga. Well, yeah, he was incredible as a youngster in the Bundesliga, playing for Bayer Leverkusen, who they call them Neverkusen out in Germany because they never win anything. Came to Chelsea, won the Champions League, man. You know what I mean? So yeah, he is pretty iconic in Germany. Of course, they know him for his excellent Bundesliga performances, much like Timo Werner, but a little bit more like less just running in behind, more graceful and skillful. That's what we probably thought would work a bit better in the Premier League, because you don't need that Bundesliga highline space like Werner does. I don't know. He'll be good for Bayern Munich, and he'd continue starting in the German side, and maybe would be sad to see him go and regret it because he's a good player, but I think he's on very high wages, and obviously there's value to be recouped there. Now, we would make a loss on him, which seems wild. He came to Chelsea, won the Champions League, he's got a good injury record, but when you sell out with the Premier League, you pay more. When you sell out, you get less. I'm seeing reports 35 to 55 million pounds. You got to try and get the 55 million pounds, surely. And that's like what, 17 million pound loss or something. I don't know. But what we talked about before is the new ownership. They've come in and they've taken financial L's. They're willing to do so. They're doing it on Lukaku. They did it with the Dodgers. Well, Todd Boehly did it with the Dodgers when he bought them. He even paid players to leave without trading them. He'll probably be looking at this squad rebuild at Chelsea and being like, look, we've just got to break some eggs to make an omelette, or whatever the friggin' saying is. So maybe Kai Havertz falls under that. I'd be quite sad to see him go, though. I like Kai Havertz. I think he's a Rolls Royce, but at the same time, does it work? Maybe not. Maybe he's got to go. Comment down below on Kai Havertz. So a midfielder, and as exciting and stimulating as this transfer window is, and we've seemingly gone crazy, apparently we're going to get a midfielder, or you're looking at a midfielder. Let's see what Nazar Kinsella says on the Evening Standard. Chelsea are increasingly open to signing midfielder on loan after having a £55 million bid for Moises Caicedo rejected by Brighton. Again, the loan rules I thought were at our limit, but the fact how this piece of news and reporting has been widespread, you got to assume we can loan another player. The Blues are poised to make winger Noni Madueke their latest signing, having agreed a £35 million deal for the 20-year-old with PSV Eindhoven. That was €35 million and a package leading up to €35 million. I'm seeing like less than £30 million without add-ons or something, which, if he's a player you want, good business, I suppose. But then again, what do I know? Graham Potter still wants to add a midfielder to his squad depth this month. I think he probably wanted to at the beginning of all this mental transfer narrative. But the Brighton do not want to sell their Ecuador international Caicedo, and Chelsea have been forced to consider other options. Yeah, because bro, it's the middle of the season, they're flying high, and they've lost so much already. Leave him alone. I saw De Zerbi's quote on this, actually, being interviewed in his pre-match press conference, and he says, yeah, we would like to keep him to the end of the season. It wasn't like a clinical no, it was like, ideally we would like to keep him to the end of the season. So that was interesting. And of course, as Fabrizio Romano, transfer guru himself, has been reporting, Caicedo has or is in the process of switching agents, which usually means he wants a move, or they're trying to, somehow get a move. Chelsea have had bids for Enzo Fernandez rejected this month by Benfica, and they've been linked for a shock move for Tottenham's Yves Bissouma. We spoke about him as well, of course. Yves Bissouma was the guy who Caicedo came in and replaced in Brighton, and all roads lead back to Brighton with Chelsea, don't they? Bissouma, great player, of course. Not really playing for Tottenham. Don't really understand that. Those Spurs are expected to reject any move for the player who's worked with Potter at Brighton, of course. Madueke will become the 15th signing since Todd Boehly and Clear Lake Capital completed their takeover at Chelsea last year. 15 signings. 15 signings. 1-5. Yeah. Takeover last year. He's the former, Madueke's the former Crystal Palace and Tottenham Hotspur youth player, which we spoke about yesterday, I believe, who left Spurs for PSV in 2018 and has impressed in the Eredivisie. I believe he's an England under-21 international as well. Chelsea, and I mean, just on that as well, I reckon this has got Neil Bath's fingerprints on. Apparently, Carney Chukwuemeka, his signing from Aston Villa, of course, he's an England youth player. Neil Bath knows all about that, of course, was the head of the Chelsea Academy at Cobham, was the mastermind behind so many of the amazing talents that we've put for our academy. Seemingly has been promoted to, I'm not sure entirely what his role is, but it's to do more with senior recruitment as well as the youngsters, or bringing the youngsters into sort of around the senior team, hence Carney Chukwuemeka. And I guess, I'm assuming here, I'm speculating, but you'd have to assume the same for Madueke, maybe Neil Bath. So probably. Chelsea have already signed, apparently, I say Mykhailo Mudryk, but apparently it's Mykhailo Mudryk. Mykhailo Mudryk. phonetically pronunciation. Benoit Badiashile, João Felix, David Datro for Fana, and of course, and Andre Santos so far this month. We're popping off, ladies and gentlemen. Loads and loads and loads and loads and loads of signings. I would welcome the sight of a midfielder. Of course, we've seen N'Golo Kante running on grass again, which gives you the warm fuzzies. If Reece James come back, maybe you chuck Trev Chalobah and CDM and let people run around in front of him. Tactics, you wouldn't understand. I don't know. I'd welcome a midfielder, mate. Let me know what you think there. I'll be very, very interested in reading the comments on this one. From everything I've spoken about, really. From the goalkeeper to Madueke to Kai Havertz to Germany. And indeed a midfielder. Thank you for joining me. I love you lots, and I'll see you later.